What's up, fellow podcaster? In today's podcast interview breakdown, I'll be reacting to Donald Trump on Logan Paul's podcast, Impaulsive. Here we go.
Well, Mr. President, people surely love it. They love the picture. They rallied behind it. They're rallying behind you now.
Well, they
more
are.
than ever.
And, we had the biggest fundraising, I think, ever for any candidate ever anywhere in the world in the last 8 or 9 days. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and too bad it couldn't have been done for other reasons, but they viewed the case as being so corrupt and so ridiculous. Every one of the legal pundits, and, they're great guys. When you look at Dershowitz, the whole group, that whole group of people, Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, every one of them, they came out and they said, there's not even a case here. There's no case. And when they saw the jury instructions, when they saw all the things that happened, and it's not like anybody's a friend of mine. Mark Levin is an example. They couldn't believe it. So unfair. It's a very unfair thing. And because of that, the fundraising numbers and the polls, but the fundraising, that's sort of like a poll anyway, right? When you get right down to it. But the fundraising numbers went, I don't think there's ever been that much money raised that quickly.
You've become a martyr of sorts.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's insane. 100.
I want to know what's going on in that courtroom. I know he's got a gag order, so I'm wondering what it's like to be him, to be as successful as he's been. And now he's known for being so outspoken. So what's it like to have to kind of muzzle yourself? And what would happen? I mean, what would happen if you just kept going and just kept telling details of the case and just kept talking about what they don't want you to talk about? What are the consequences? Is it fines? Is it jail time? Yeah.
$40 million in May that you raised.
$35 million in just hours after the verdict.
Yeah, 58 million within a few hours. And that was in small donations, like $71 something average. And over a period of a week, we even went to San Francisco. Now, not supposed to be, that's the belly of the beast, right?
Rare visit.
But they had thousands of people on the street. It was so positive, and they raised $12 million. The tech guys at one of the houses, David, fantastic people, and they were like, they gave me a lot of money. They've never been into doing that. And I think it helps that Biden is just so bad. He is so bad. He is the worst president in the history of our country. So that helps too.
You should make a diss track on him.
Yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something.
I actually wanted to start there.
Go ahead.
Because
This would be a great question for Logan. Would Logan help Donald Trump make a diss track on Joe Biden? Because that, for those of you who don't know, there was like a period where every bigger YouTuber was making diss tracks on each other. The Paul brothers kind of laid the foundation for it, and they were just super successful. And they had, I think they were going on for at least 6 months because the views were insane. And so I'd want to ask Logan if he would help Donald Trump make a diss track, as well as, I don't know how to say it because I'm trying to stay, but I'm pretty sure Logan doesn't like Trump. So, and you can kind of see it on his face. So it'd be interesting to hear his reaction to that question as well. And as far as San Francisco goes to Trump, obviously that's Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi territory. I mean, there's a whole line of questioning. You could go down that rabbit hole, starting with following the money. And this is not just Nancy Pelosi, but Nancy Pelosi is just notoriously known for, I think her salary is only like $200,000-$300,000, but she's worth tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you've ever seen the interview with her being asked about, her stock market trading and it being a little iffy, I have a million questions about that, but it's not just her. It's not just the left. That's just the one that comes to mind. But anybody, any politician who's making ridiculous money off the stock market needs to be exposed. And you could craft a question towards Trump, towards that as well.
one thing that I just can't seem to wrap my head around it is you got these felony convictions and a lot of them, like more than Al Capone, right? And there was an uprising and people showed you their support with their donations. And a lot of people are saying it points out that actually the unjust nature of America's justice system. So my question is, like, if that is your belief, if that is their belief, why do you have the desire to give your time and energy to a country or a system that's trying to take you down?
So
Great question.
I ran twice. I did much better the second time than the first time. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have done this. But we had it going like this country has never been going before. It was really good. Now it's really bad. The worst border in history, the worst inflation, I think, in history. I think the history of the country, the people are getting decimated by it. All very all something you can fix. You can fix it fast. We were energy independent. We're going to be energy dominant very soon. All these things were happening. And then we had a terrible result in an election. And what happened was disgraceful, and we can't ever let it happen again. But we have a little expression. It's right on that hat: "Make America Great Again," and we can do that. Make America great again. And this guy's not going to do it. This guy's destroyed our country. When you allow 15, 16, 17, they have no idea what the gotaways. Million people coming out of jails, coming out of mental institutions, insane asylum. The insane asylums all over the world, the mental institutions, they're at the lowest levels. They've been at it for years. They're going to be totally empty. And you have terrorists coming into our country. We're going to be paying a big price, and we're going to solve the problem, and we're going to solve it relatively.
And to be fair, and I would be curious too, as to these jails and insane asylums too. I mean, I can't, there's no way I could do it by myself. But for those of you who are just watching this, I have 10 years in broadcast news experience, spent half of my career doing general assignment news, like these type of stories, and the other half in LA covering entertainment, everything like that. So this kind of crosses this treads the line of both. But I would love to go to insane asylums in every state and figure out what the occupancy rate is, if they're being let out early. I know when I was in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, they were letting criminals out early because of overcrowding in the jails. So I would want to talk to the jails in each state and see if that's true, because whether it's Trump, Biden, anybody else, if they make a claim like that, you've kind of got to just see what the numbers would be. I don't know about you guys, but I'm done with all these talking heads and their polls and their statistics. It's like you can do your own research. All it takes is a couple phone calls and you've got your answers. So it'd be really curious to see what those numbers are. And if it's on record to compare them now and to maybe 10 years ago, to really see the difference between the numbers.
Relatively quickly, but we have other problems too with energy, with inflation. He's been a disaster as a president. He's the worst president we've ever had. The good news is he makes Jimmy Carter look brilliant by comparison. So Jimmy Carter's the only one that's happy with this.
Well, look, I think that's why a lot of people are so obsessed with you, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump. Well, because you're already a billionaire, right?
And also, I want to quickly add, and this for people who haven't seen it, but Trump was on the Full Send podcast and they were calling him Donnie or the Don. Like they had all these like nicknames for him, which I think is great because it works for them because it's on brand, but I could never do that just from like a professional level. It's like Mr. President or Mr. Trump. It's like you'd almost want to figure that out before the interview started. That's a quick tip as well. When you're having higher profile people on your podcast, figure out if they want to go by Mr. this or if they have certain nicknames, whatever. But just be clear so you can be as respectful as possible.
You are essentially serving these people and you don't have to be doing it. The president, being the president seems like a very hard job. You were at 3 meetings just before this. Sure. But I guess I'm asking, like, the desire to run and attempt to improve your country for these things you're saying.
Yeah.
It comes from what? Just the love of the country?
Well, the people, I'll tell you, when you look at the people, when you look at the crowds, I did a rally in New Jersey. We had 107,000 people there. You saw that last week. We did one in the Bronx. We had 25,000 people. and this was in the South Bronx, which is known as a rough area, and it was like a love fest. There was not even nobody even raised a voice of dissent. The whole place, it was like a big love fest. Nobody could believe it. You saw that 3-4 weeks ago. There's our country has tremendous potential, but it's going down the tubes very, very rapidly. Nobody has ever seen anything like it, the way it's being run. So bad. And we can change it. We can change it quickly. We have a debate coming up. That'll be interesting.
June 27th, hosted by one of your favorite television networks, CNN.
Well, they gave me the option. They said, would you do it? And they didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So they gave me everything. Fake Tapper and lots of other people that were going to.
And I hate to cut him off, but it's like, I saw this too. Why? First of all, how do you, knowing how the media spins anything that comes out of his mouth, I'd want to know which media outlet is, in his opinion, the worst. I think he would say they're CNN or MSNBC. But when this debate's coming up, why would he, if he hates CNN that much, and a lot of people do not like CNN, why would you allow them to host the debate? And what do you think is going to happen on the debate? Like all the clips that I have seen online, Biden is kind of slowing down a little bit. He's not saying much. He doesn't hold many press conferences. It's kind of in and out. So it's like, who are we going to see show up? Like, I just don't understand how somebody as sharp as Trump going up against somebody who it's hard to understand what he's saying a lot of the times. And I get it. He's slowing down a little bit. And I mean that in the most respectful way, but I don't know how this is going to work. And the fact that the fact that he agreed to this, I think there's only one, there's no audience, and the moderators it's like, I don't know. Why would you have CNN host the debate? Why wouldn't you host the debate on Truth Social or maybe on Rumble and just be very picky and choosy who's going to be there, who the moderator's going to be there, the audience? It could be a live show and almost have like a stadium pack thing. I don't know if that's a safety issue. That's a whole rabbit hole question there. But the main question here is, why would you let CNN dictate the terms of your debate? That was a really long-winded. I'm breaking my own rule. So don't be long-winded, short and sweet. Yeah.
We're involved. On CNN, they wanted it to be seated, which I didn't like. I said we should stand, and I think we won that point. But I would have agreed to whatever I had to agree to because they didn't want to do it. They thought that I wouldn't do it because it's CNN, but I've done plenty of CNN. I did a town hall not so long ago with CNN that worked out well. But I think they'll be fair. I think they're going to try and be fair. I mean, as fair as they can be. But I think it's important for there to be a debate. So they said, you want to debate? Yep, I'll accept. You don't even have to tell me. Then they said CNN. They said the different people that are involved. But let's see what happens. I used to get along with Jake Tapper. We'll see what happens. But it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it is.
That sentiment that CNN might be fair to you,
they might be,
is a bit of a departure
I'd
from
say
your
a
normal
good 10% chance
from your normal heart.
I'm so glad Mike brought that up because in my head I'm like, when he's like, "Oh yeah, CNN will be fair," I'm like, whether it's CNN, Fox, usually it's the fair went out the window about 5-6 years ago. So yeah, I'm glad Mike caught that. Good catch.
Hardline stance. Do you think that you're starting to come around or soften your views on some of the networks that you may have not gotten along with in the past?
No, they're fake news.
Yeah, fake news.
No, they're so bad. One of the good terms, right? Fake news. But no, I don't think so. I thought maybe, I had one with.
So as I said before, I was in broadcasting for 10 years and everything is so everything is edited down. The fact that Trump goes on these podcasts, even though that Logan and Mike, let's just say they don't like him. I've just gotten that feeling just from their demeanor and previous episodes. That doesn't even matter. This is more of a real conversation and more, in my professional opinion, more newsworthy because they can ask him almost anything they want and you can tell they're treading lightly. And I guarantee you a lot of this, I had to go through lawyers and make sure like, hey, take out this, and this. I get it. But this is more of a real conversation than you would see on a major news network. So I love that both parties here are sitting down, and I wish that more politicians and everything would do more podcasts like this.
Caitlin Collins, about 4 or 5 months ago, was one of the highest rated shows they've ever had. And I really thought they were going to go maybe sort of in the middle, but I was wrong about, as I'm getting on and I'm hearing the way I'm being announced, they said, hey, these people are playing hardball. They're making a big mistake, but the ratings for this debate, I guess, will be quite good.
Massive. Are you surprised by his decision to face-to-face with you?
You mean the fact that they're willing to do it?
That Biden's willing
a little
to do
bit. They didn't want to do it. They thought I turned CNN down. Look, CNN is the enemy. And they thought I was going to turn CNN, and Tapper is, one of the guys that, when I'm making a speech, so they're waiting for the nomination for months and months. I got it in the quickest fashion. Nobody's ever gotten a nomination so quickly. And I'm making my nomination speech, and they refuse to put it. They're covering it for months and months. Now I'm actually making my speech. I mean, this is the big night. I won the nomination, and they refuse to put it on. These are people that don't like Trump. But it's okay, because I think it's important to have a debate.
And how do you keep once again, I can't remember if I've already said this. I'm really trying to focus on what he's saying. I get lost in my own interviews sometimes, but I have never seen, I'd be like, Mr. Trump, I have never seen you get angry. The term gaslighting gets flown around all the time, whether it's the politician who's saying it or the news anchors who are saying it or the reporters who's saying it, sends people into a tailspin. And that's just the viewer watching. It's like you are on high alert all the time, and it's just super calm and collective all the time. How do you do it? And how do you give networks like CNN another chance when they have constantly made it their mission to just get you out of office? If anyone doesn't know what you're talking about, James O'Keefe, they cracked that open on Project Veritas a long time ago, where there was like 10 hours of footage of like newsroom meetings of like how we're going to get this guy out, which is insane, because I just think of my days in news meetings where that would just be insane. But that's nor here nor there. It's just like, how do you keep giving these people chances when they obviously want to run you through the mud? That happened on the town hall meeting too. It's like, why? And you didn't even get mad. You came with paperwork, with quotes, everything. It's just, how do you do it? How do you do it?
A number of debates, actually.
The fact that you are so vocal as well, especially on social media, I think works in your favor. And personally, I like that you come with receipts sometimes.
Yeah,
I've seen you pull them out of your,
no, I
your
understand.
jacket. Will you have receipts?
I like to do it.
Well, fact checking's fun.
Yeah, I know. We'll check. We're gonna check a lot of things. It's gonna be an interesting. You will be watching, right?
I'll be watching.
We just don't want to schedule it around one of your fights.
Please don't. Please don't.
You do pretty well.
Thanks. I'll be watching. Yeah, I always see you at
So
UFC.
do you have? By the way, do you ever fight your brother? Huh?
That's the question.
You want to know something?
I want to know.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
because you are both good. Do you ever fight him?
Thank you. I not in real life.
You
no.
practiced a little bit
Never.
with him, right?
We've never even sparred.
Really?
We don't know. I think
Well, did you beat him up your whole life?
I
growing
didn't.
up?
I punched him in the face once because he took my glasses. But I was willing to step in for Mike Tyson when Tyson got sick and had to postpone his fight. And we actually like ran it up the chain at Netflix.
It's hard for brothers to fight, though. I think it's hard.
Not on
I've
Netflix
seen it over
for a
the years.
big.
Yeah, this has been a huge question in the online YouTube world. I've followed both Jake and Logan for a long time. But I always thought, and I'm still convinced, there's nothing you can say that convinced me otherwise, that would be that, I believe, is the Paul brothers. That'd be a question to follow up with Logan. You and Jake fighting, is that like your last ditch effort? Like, let's just say somehow they become completely irrelevant. No one cares who they are anymore. They don't care about their boxing, their WWE career, nothing. Is that the thing? Is that the last ditch effort to I hate the word irrelevant, but that'd be the last ditch effort for like a marketing ploy, because Mike Tyson getting sick and all this other stuff, it's all hype. It's all part of the game. Hollywood is a machine. Nothing is on accident, but I have a hard time believing they've never sparred. And I know Logan is way stronger, and you'd have to ask him too, who do you think would win? Obviously, he's going to say himself, but I don't know. I've seen Jake box, and it's pretty impressive.
Big old bag, figure it out once and for all.
I think you don't think so? You love your brother?
Well, me and Jake decided that obviously, we both come from a place of love, and whatever the outcome would be, we'd have to be okay with it. But obviously, I love my brother.
No, but the shots to the face and
just one time though, for the rest of history. That night goes down forever. The Klitschko brothers never did it.
No, they never did it, and they were both good, and they never did it. They were very good, but in fact, nobody really figured.
I'm supposed to be asking questions about Trump, but I just said, to Logan once again, would you fight your brother for? I would say just to make it a big number, over 100 million. So I'd say $101 million. Would you fight Jake?
Out maybe who was better. They had some good fights. They were tough, right?
Yeah. Well, Jake's tough and he's good, but I'm 1-0.
He's very good, and you're very good.
He had a street fight this past week against somebody from a squad you may know as from the Nelk Boys.
Oh, right. When you said you had it out with them,
an actual street fight.
But a friendly one or an unfriendly one?
Oh, it was pretty unfriendly.
Yeah,
I was there.
Friendly. I would call it a waiver fight.
They have a great following, though. They're nice guys.
We love them.
They have you do. Good, I'm glad, because I'm getting myself into a position here. They really are. They did, Dana White, who's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
He said, would you do the Nelk Boys? I didn't know who they were. I did it, and they have a tremendous audience, which you can
ferocious.
tell right away. I did Dr. Phil the other day.
I saw it.
Yeah, he was great.
We love the Nelk Boys, by the way. The Nelk Boy we're talking about is it's kind of like
his name's Bradley Martin. He's a big fitness guy, because we know Kyle Forgard, and John Shahidi for years now.
They're great.
Bradley's this big 260-pound, bodybuilder, and for years he's called people out. I'm 260. I'll fight you, and got into it with Logan.
And how did it work out?
How you think, Mr. President?
I think you probably did pretty good. I've watched enough of you fighting.
It was off camera. It was cool. It was like a duel, like a good old fashioned, just boys being boys. No cameras.
It was a real deal.
The real deal.
And
no rules.
Was he finished?
He quit.
He did.
He quit, yeah.
But we were very impressed with him, actually.
He showed up.
He has no combat sports experience.
Yep.
Stepped up to somebody.
Whoa. What? Once again, for those people who don't know Bradley Martin, he's actually, like he said, he's a 260 super jacked dude. I'd want to know so many things. How is there no cameras involved? Was there gloves, or was it did he say an actual bare knuckle fight? And it's did they leave on good terms? Is that for people who don't understand also, when dudes fight, it's the weirdest thing. It's this, after, if they hate each other and then they duke it out, and it's okay, you won, blah, blah, blah. And usually they're friends afterwards. But I just now hearing about this, there's got to be leaked footage somewhere. Was there money on the line? Is it going to happen again with boxing gloves? If there was no boxing gloves, what would have to make, oh man, how much money would have to be on the line to make it on camera? These are just questions that are just rolling off the top of my head for this interview, which you can take into your interviews as well.
He had muscle, but not the.
Just no training.
Yeah.
Just no training.
You ever been in a fist fight, Mr. President?
Probably not. I've been little duels, nothing like that. I mean, I'd like to say, I fought my way through school.
Right.
I fought my way out of the Wharton School of Finance. We didn't have a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
We have fighters, but not that kind of fighters. But I've had a lot of fun. I'll tell you, we had a great time. Over the years, I've been very much involved with Mike Tyson. Mike is a great guy. My son, I have a beautiful boy, Baron. and he loves Mike Tyson.
Beautiful
big boy. Big boy.
He's huge.
He's a big boy, 6'9".
6'9".
6'9".
Oh, my
yeah.
PDF's at 6'7".
And I couldn't get him to play basketball. He plays soccer. He's a good athlete too. Good student.
Big
good
boy
athlete.
for soccer.
But he's 6'9".
It's insane.
Good looking guy, but he is a tall one. There's no question. I say, Baron, I don't want to take a picture next to you. It's
Neither do we.
crazy. We ought to make him a fighter, maybe.
No, I don't want to. Guys, it's 2024. We want to spend less and save more. That's just a fact. Gashing out there, upset back on every usual parasite information. Dollars and music in your first. So you're obviously a fight fan.
I like it. I really enjoyed it. I think Dana White is one of a kind.
Before, sorry, we had to skip through that ad, but what's a day in the life of your son like? Is he wanting to be president? Is he literally your right-hand man? Does he stick to wherever you go? I know you're, a big golfer. Does he golf with you? Is he any good? How has he been able to stay out of the media when you're still in the media? I mean, each one of these questions can send an olive branch to a million different ways, but these are just like, this is one of the things I teach in my program, the Podcast Connect Effect, is just be curious. There's no such thing as a dumb question, because anything that you're wondering, somebody's wondering as well.
And
For
he's
sure.
and he's been generous to me. He's made a great statement about me the other day.
I saw that.
That was a nice statement.
Well, because
But
you've had his back for.
Well,
since,
I did, and rightfully. I think, the expression, everybody's replaceable, I'm not sure anybody could do. The job he does is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He gets, I met Khabib, who's
I saw that.
29-0, and his father died, and he just said, that's it for me. And, his father was great at what he did, and probably he never lost even a round. I think 29-0, they say he never lost a round, and I thought he was great. And we got to speak. He was just about my favorite guy, and really talented. The Strickland was fantastic the other night. I thought he was
Great striker.
He was.
everyone wants to come out of the cage and meet you after they
They
win.
do.
And
Yeah,
when-
they
and when
do.
you-
I'm very honored by it. Every time they win, they jump out.
Yeah.
They jump out of that cage like it's nothing. I don't know. It's pretty high, but they have no problem.
Is Secret Service there? Yeah, because he's talking about people going after the fight, people go over the cage to like shake his hand. Is there Secret Service there just like waiting? Because if you think about it, these are trained, skilled fighters who could kill somebody running over at the president. And it's like, so in theory, it's scary. So are the Secret Service around, and are they on guard just in case something like happens? But, people who are fans of the UFC and people who, hop over the cage to go see him obviously want to shake his hand, but I'd still be curious on if it makes him nervous and if it makes his head of security nervous.
And when you enter the arena, there's an eruption of cheers.
Yeah.
But I remember, because I've been going to UFC for a while, like it wasn't always like that. There was a very clear shift in the perception of you. Do you feel like you feel that now more than ever?
I don't know. I've done it in Vegas, Miami. I do it with Dana. Dana wants me to do that, and I do it. And it is an eruption. He said like he's never heard before. They actually stopped a fight. One of the fighters were walking out, and there's a fight going on, and these guys are really going at it, and they heard this crazy sound, and they stopped the fight. They both stopped fighting. They're looking over what happened. They probably thought bad things were happening to the arena. But no, it's been great, and he is just somebody you have to really respect. I imagine you guys do, but he gets these fighters from all over the world, and they are some really talented people, and I have respect for fighters. When you can take 200 shots to the face and then look forward to the second round.
Yes.
It's interesting. A lot of wrestlers they'd want to do the UFC thing, but they can't take the shots because they're wrestlers. I've been with a lot of them, and because at the White House we honor.
Do you feel, Mr. President, like you have a fighter's mentality when it comes to the media? Because these fighters take physical shots to the face, but I feel like in your position, the media is just taking shot after shot after shot at you. So Do you feel like you have a fighter's mentality? And are you, speaking of, are you ever worried about being taken out? Because I feel like there's just a lot of people who a lot of people who disagree with you and don't like you. Does that ever worry you either?
The national champion wrestlers and tennis players and sort of everything. We have these. But speaking to the wrestlers, some of them, there's somebody named Bo Nickel who I think is going to be great. He's a fighter.
Fantastic.
He was a All-American, I think probably 4 years. I'm not even sure. He went to Penn State, and he's phenomenal as a fighter, and you'll be watching him. But he doesn't mind. If he gets hit, he doesn't mind. Some people don't want that.
Speaking of conflict and fighting, since you left office, the number of global conflicts has skyrocketed. And I know Khabib talked to you about it quickly when you spoke with him. I think 2 weeks ago about President Biden authorized the use of American weapons in Russia, which has now led to a fleet of Russian warships coming towards Cuba this week. What are your thoughts and concerns around our current handling of our relationship with Russia?
Well,
I just want to, it's tough because anyway, so Mike brought notes. He actually did some research and is asking solid questions. Like I guess I'm a little surprised just because a lot of these celebrity influencer podcasts, everyone is just in like wing it mode. Because there's a lot of other there's just a ton of these bigger podcasts by these celebrity influencers where you could clearly tell they did absolutely no research, and it's just like they roll out of bed and just put on, stick a mic in the face, and they've got the numbers to prove it, but it just doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, I could talk about that forever, but doing research is also part of what I do as well, to show you how to do it, to ask the right questions that the mainstream might be getting wrong in this situation. But I just appreciate that Mike is respecting the art of the interview, if you will, and bringing notes of some sort. He's got he's got sheets there. I didn't see any from Logan, which is totally fine. But yeah, that's awesome.
The Russian attack on Ukraine would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. It's just a shame.
How would you have not made it happen? Would be the follow-up question to that.
So many dead people. You look at just the soldiers, it's 500,000 soldiers between the both countries. But so many dead people, so many towns and villages and buildings and magnificent culture just being wiped out. You okay over there?
Stuff's falling over.
Sounds good. Nice book, by the way. Nice book.
We'll get to that.
That's his book about overcoming drug addiction.
It's a bestseller about the opiate epidemic, which
we'll
talk
wow,
about.
That's a great topic, because it's so sad to see what's happening. So bad. But it's a shame because it never would have happened. And it didn't happen during my 4 years. It didn't happen. It wouldn't have happened. I got along very well with Putin. I got along with Zelensky. But it wouldn't have happened. And October 7th would have never happened. And inflation would have never happened. And the withdrawal, the kind of withdrawal,
How would you have, obviously you want to let him finish his soundbite, but how would you have not let inflation happen? And if you become president, how are you going to combat inflation? Because it's at an all-time high, is it all of a sudden just going to be brought right where it was 4 years ago, or when you were in your first? At some point gas was like, I remember it was like $1.52. So it's like, is all that stuff going to come back down, and how long does it take to come back down? And how exactly are you going to do it? Who do you need to talk to? What approvals do you have to, how much of Congress do you have to go through? Just like almost asking specific, detailed questions on how these things are going to happen.
Getting out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength, but to get out the way, I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And I actually think that the way Afghanistan worked, I think that when Putin looked at that, he said, wow, let's go in. And you know who else looked at it? President Xi of China. And he is looking at...
Oh man, there's two things here. So the and this is tough because you would have to have it. I would have to have a notepad. But as far as Afghanistan goes, we left billions of dollars worth of equipment there. Are we going to get that back, or is that do we just chuck that away? And as far as China goes, China, if you don't know, have bought up a ton of farmland all around the U.S. And it's like, how did that happen? Is it possible to just give them their money back? Or what would happen if we were just like, nah, you know what? You can't do that. And we just kind of been like, well, you're SOL, but because that's just not cool. I don't care if you're right or left. China should not own an acre of U.S. farmland, period.
Taiwan, and he's drooling over Taiwan. And so something could happen there. We've lost a lot of respect. They're laughing at us all over the world. And that wasn't happening 4 years ago.
And with you back in office, you think we'll get that respect back?
Yeah, we'll get it back.
What's your relationship like with Vladimir Putin?
I think very good, but I was tough with him. I ended the pipeline. He built, it's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2 until I got involved. And it was the biggest project ever done in Russia. I mean, this was a pipeline that was going to supply oil and gas to all over Europe, Germany in particular. And I said, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to Germany? I said, we're defending you under NATO, and you're paying billions of dollars a month to Russia. You mean we're defending you, and you're giving the people we're defending you from, we're giving you the defense, but you're giving them money at massive amounts. Probably the biggest project, most important, one of the most important projects they've ever done. I ended it. It was dead. It was gone. And then this guy.
Speaking of money going overseas, we have sent over $175 billion to overseas countries. When is that ever going to stop? And if it's not, how do we take more of that money, invest it back into the U.S.? I can't remember which creator had said it, but they're like, the U.S. should look like Dubai, like all the roads being paved. Flint should have clean water. We still don't know what happened in Hawaii. There should be armed guards at schools. Like, we could take all that money and do all this awesome stuff to the U.S., but we keep sending it overseas, which I think is irritating for both right and left. And that's that's part of my deeper purpose, is to kind of bring us together and bridge and kind of see the crap that's going on. And I'm 90% sure we can all agree on all of our money going overseas is crap, and China owning farmland in the U.S. is garbage as well. But hey, that's just a few things.
Guy comes in and he approves it, but he kills Keystone. The Keystone XL.
Yep.
So it's sad. But Putin said to me, it's the biggest thing. You ended it. You ended the pipeline. He said, they all say you and I are friendly, but I'd hate to see you as an enemy. But this was the biggest, this was massive amounts of money and everything.
But that's
else.
how you
But
talk to him
Biden
like
came
that?
in, huh?
You talk to him like that?
Oh, no, I had a very good relationship. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I'm trying to tell people, no, it's a good thing. They've got, I would give you the exact number, but they gave a lot, just under 2,000 nuclear weapons. And we do also. And when you have nuclear weapons, and even if you don't have nuclear weapons, getting along is good, but be the tough one, be the smart one, get along is good. I tell the press all the time, no, the fact that I get along with Kim Jong-un, North Korea.
That's crazy.
President Xi.
That's crazy.
It's all good stuff getting along, but nobody ever took money out of China like me. I took hundreds of billions of dollars out in the form of tariffs and taxes. No other president took in not 10 cents. And, China built their military because of the United States. The United States was giving them hundreds of billions of dollars a year in excess flow. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. But we took out hundreds of billions of dollars from China, and I still got along with President Xi until COVID. That was a breaking point. But no, but he was a guy that I respected. He liked me, and I liked him. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The press says, "Oh, isn't it?" You say, "Yeah, he's a leader. He's a smart guy." They say, "Smart man." They say, "Oh, Trump said he was smart." That's, Yeah, he leads 1.4 billion people. It's a little bit on the smart side. But I got along with him. I got along with Kim Jong-un. That would have been a nuclear war. If Hillary Clinton had gotten in office, we would have been in a nuclear war with North Korea. He was ready for it. When I was with him, nobody else could meet him.
Ooh, that's a statement. Like I said, to be fair, what would Hillary have done to cause a nuclear war with North Korea? Because that would have been game over for us all. So I would start getting specific with those questions. And as far as the vid goes, can you confirm without any reasonable doubt that the vid came from Wuhan, China? I guess for whatever reason, everybody thinks. Just please verify that as well.
All of a sudden, the dam broke and we started talking a little bit. We got together, as you know, twice. We got along very well, but we were in no danger from them. And we were in serious danger before I got there. I'm telling you, you would have had a nuclear war if Hillary Clinton got in.
I'm so curious, like, what this conversation with really powerful world leaders looks like behind closed doors. Like, is it candid, or do you exercise grace, or you talk like boys?
Everyone's different. No, but everyone's different. It's like when you're talking to people, when you're doing interviews with people, when you're fighting people, they're all different. You know, you fight them a different way, you talk to them a different way, but everyone's different. But I had very good relationships with everyone. The funny thing is I got along with the tough ones much better than I got along with the weak ones. You had some real weak ones too. I didn't get along with them as well. It's strange. Must be a personality defect.
It's probably a good thing.
Huh?
It's probably a good thing that you get along with
I get along with the
leaders
tough
of the largest countries.
You know, there's a very tough one, Viktor Orban, and he's the prime minister of Hungary. And he said that the reason the world is blowing up because Trump isn't president. When Trump was there, everybody respected Trump. He said was afraid of Trump. I don't want to use that term because that's, you know, I don't want to say, oh, they were afraid, like a child would say. But they respected me. But he said everyone listened to Trump. They were afraid of Trump. They couldn't figure Trump out, and they all listened. And they did listen. And we had no wars. We had no nothing. I defeated ISIS, got rid of the biggest terrorists ever, maybe, or just about ever. But we defeated, think of that, we knocked out ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and started no wars. I wasn't in any wars. Now, that I don't know how you may feel about that, because you know, you're a warrior, right? Because all fighters, and you're a real fighter, by the way.
It's not good. It's not good. I don't shy away from conflict. My fiance has a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's not good. You're much more diplomatic than I probably would be.
You know, it's very interesting though. So Khabib came up to me after the fight the other night, and you know, you guys would probably say he's the best ever, maybe, and you know, probably certainly he probably is, and are very close, right? John Jones, a lot of people say.
I'd say 1 and 2.
And you know, and he said to me, "Oh, I hope you can get in because we have to stop the wars. We have to stop the killing. The killing." He was so smart. He understood it, and I think he's friends or was friends, but I think he is friends with Putin very much.
Yeah.
But he said we have to stop the killing, and it's true. And
do you worry about making these claims that you can stop these wars, stop the fighting, stop the killing, because these corporate media outlets are going to be, I mean, if you sneeze the wrong way, they freak out. So I'm wondering how are you going to stop these wars? And what do you think mainstream outlets are going to say about you actually stopping them if you do?
And I think I'd have that war stopped if I was president-elect. Right after the election, if I win, I will get that war stopped. I'll get it stopped fast before I get to office. If it's not stopped before then.
Talking about Russia, Ukraine.
I'm talking about Russia, Ukraine. We'll get it stopped.
On the
so many people are being killed. Far more people are being killed. And I thought it was great when Khabib came up to me and he says, we've got to stop all of the killing in the war. He's a very smart guy, very interesting guy. We talked for a while.
On the flip side, or on the other side of the continent, the Gaza situation has been
horrible.
Big news over the past year or so. The United States has always been, and you were always a staunch ally of Israel. Has your sentiment on Netanyahu or on his regime changed at all in light of any of the events of the past 6 months?
No, look, it was a shame that it should have never happened. It would have never happened. Iran was broke when I was president. Nobody was allowed to buy oil. Nobody was allowed to buy anything. They were broke. A Democrat congressman on Deface the Nation, the show Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Deface the Nation, yes, commonly known as Face the Nation, but I don't call it that.
You have a name for it.
I have a name for everything. I'll end up with a name for you two guys by the time. But it'll be.
I can't wait to hear
No,
mine.
there'll be good names. But so he was on the show and he said, whether you like Trump or not, Iran was broke during Trump's. They would have made a deal within 1 week. And now they have $250 billion. We would have had a deal done literally in 1 week after the election. And it was ready. They were absolutely, and they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They were broke, stone cold broke. Now they have $250 billion. Biden took off all of the sanctions. He let them go. China went to town. I told China, if you buy 1 barrel of oil from these people.
So if Biden undid all of that, I feel like, is it possible that money went into Biden's pocket or somebody's pocket, because you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars, and I just don't see Biden lifting that and then giving Iran all this money and then just being like, thanks, Joe, appreciate it. Like, is it possible that in that 250, he got to pocket some money or some other money? Some money went somewhere. I just don't see it happening. And let me know in the comments section if I'm crazy. I know I'm not crazy, because there's no way somebody gives you $250 billion and is just like, all right, appreciate you, gotta go. Just don't see it.